Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. And I'm frozen. Maybe that's just a little lag. I'm going to have to just deal with that tonight. But hey, welcome in to the Seth Joyner podcast. I'm glad to be with you guys once again. Let me see. Where do we want to start tonight? Well, first of all, thank you guys for being here. I know the presidential debate is happening tonight, so you guys really could have somewhere else to go. But of course, the Eagles are more important in your conversation than Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Listen, we got a lot to get to tonight. I got a good show for you guys. Eliot Shorr-Parks is going to come on for about 20, 30 minutes tonight. And, we'll get his take on what's going on with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Thank you guys for tuning in to YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, wherever you guys are tuning in from. Thanks for joining the show tonight. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, to the YouTube channel. That's Seth Joyner, the Seth Joyner Show at YouTube. And of course, turn on those notifications so you guys get the notifications when the shows and everything is going to be. The Philadelphia Eagles, they travel way down to 4,757 miles down to Brazil to get the first W of the year. And I know everyone's main concern, there's a lot to get to, but everybody's main concern is Jalen Hurts at the end of the day, and his play, his decision-making with the football. And, I absolutely cannot and will not absolve his play in turning the football over, not after what we saw last season. But I also will not absolve his play, his good play, because we cannot talk about the negative without acknowledging the positive. As bad as he started off, the interception after so much talk about, protecting the football, the first series of the game of 2024, he throws an interception. Ill-advised interception. You're not going to get the first down. It's 3rd and 15. Just make the smart play. And sometimes I'll say this, and again, you guys have to understand that in no way am I absolving him or trying to protect him in any way. But as a coaching staff, you got to understand, you got to know your player. Jalen Hurts is not the type of player that feels like that there's ever a play that he can be out of. He's going to try to make a play until he's exhausted all resources. So in a situation like that, 3rd and 15, give your quarterback a run and play. Punt the football, put your defense on the field, and go at it from there. But if you put him in that situation, sometimes, he's going to make a boneheaded play. But I think in time, he will get to a place where he realizes that the smart play is the check down or run and slide, punt the football, rely on your defense. The second turnover, the next series, just unbelievable that, him and Cam Jurgens wouldn't be on the right page. Snap, they get the ball in the red zone. Thank goodness that the defense was up to the task 2 series in a row, because they hold Green Bay to 6 points instead of 14. That could have been detrimental to the Eagles' ability to come back. But thank goodness, the defense was up to the task. After that series, Jalen seemed to me to kind of calm down and settle down a little bit. He led the team on drives of, 11 plays, 9 plays, 15 plays, and then another 15 plays to end half, all scoring drives. Now, without question, the star on the offensive side of the ball is Saquon Barkley in his debut as a Philadelphia Eagle. 24 carries, 109 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receptions for 23 yards, a beautiful catch for a touchdown. That ball that Jalen threw to him in the end zone might be one of the best passes I've ever seen him throw. He put it just about the only place that he could put it. Saquon made a great catch, got the feet down, and I think that kind of sparked the offense for a while. Saquon, to me, is going to be the linchpin for this offense. The question is, will Nick Sirianni and behind Kellen Moore's direction, will they adhere to using Saquon in the run game to establish the run, to establish the line of scrimmage, use him out of the backfield, creating play action passes? I believe that he can open up everything for everyone else. Even though A.J. Brown had a heck of a day, over 100 yards receiving and a long 67-yard touchdown, Devontae Smith did his thing, 84 yards receiving. Still want to see them figure out a way to get Dallas Goedert, involved. To me, he's just too valuable of a weapon for them not to utilize him, and I think in time that'll come. But this offense has the potential, if they will implement it in the proper way, to be virtually unstoppable. You got an offensive line that really loves to run block. Let's get them going in the run game early. That's going to open up and create a great ability for them to protect Jalen as time goes on. That opens up your play action passes and everything else. And it puts your quarterback in a position where now he can begin to trust not only his offensive line, but trust the offense. This is all, in my opinion, still a learning experience for him. Some people might agree or might not, but you got to realize this guy has been in probably 7-8 different, offenses under 7-8 different offensive coordinators ever since his freshman year in college. Now, that's not an excuse. That's really just a fact. Are we expecting more when you sign him to the deal that you signed him to be the franchise quarterback? Are we expecting exponential growth? Absolutely we are. Does he have to make better decisions with the football? Absolutely he has to. Does he got to be the focal point because he touches the football on every play? Absolutely he does. But you got enough weapons around him where you don't have to put him in a situation where he feels like he's got to play hero ball. The defense has proven that they can get the job done on their side when they need them to step it up. They proved that through the first 2 series last week. So there has to be a level of belief and a level of comfort as far as, how his defense rather, can help him along as well. Listen, I really like what Kellen Moore is bringing to the table. When you look at this offense, probably still in its infancy stages and really haven't really implemented a lot of what they truly are and what they're going to be. He's got coverage beaters. You saw Jalen. I think this week Jalen was, I think the number was 98.3% was his completion rate against the blitz. Now, that was a worry, a serious concern last year that against blitz period, that Jalen wasn't making great decisions. We've seen Jalen throw a great out route, very accurate, on a rope to A.J. Brown early in this game when the pressure was coming. He read it, saw it was coming, and that's a step in the right direction. So a lot of what I'm saying is, some people will kind of see it as, oh, you're caping for Jalen, you're taking up for Jalen. Jalen can't do no wrong. That's not my point whatsoever. I'm one person that will always hold players accountable, especially the quarterback, because he's the highest paid player on the team. He's the most important player on the team, and we expect for him to really be the one to step forward and carry this team forward. But at the same time, we cannot get caught up in the situation where we say to ourselves, we harp on the negative, and we close our eyes and we're oblivious to the positive things that happen in this football game. Jalen did a good job of getting the offense in and out of plays in certain situations. He was much better, like I said, against the blitz. There were times where there was no play there. He scrambled right, and they did a good job of not letting him get out of the pocket to the right. But they also, he did a good job of throwing balls away. That's good coordinated, football from the standpoint of, listen, there's three phases to the game of football. There's an offense, there's a defense, and there's a special team. And each and every one of them have to carry their own load, have to carry their own weight. And sometimes, you're going to have times like at the beginning of the game where the offense is going to be off, the defense and the special teams carried the day. There's going to be times in the middle of the game where the offense was clicking, the defense kind of fell off a little bit. So the offense and the special teams kind of carried the defense until they can refine their footing. That's the way the game goes. That's the way the game works. But we need our quarterback, who is such an integral piece, to just make better decisions, make smarter decisions. Sometimes the defense wins. Those guys on the other side, they get paid to play. They get paid to perform. They train, they study, they prepare the same way that the Philadelphia Eagles offense does. And guess what? Sometimes they're just going to win. The smart quarterbacks realize that and say to themselves, hey, I lost on this series. Nothing to be ashamed of. I'm going to rely on my defense and my special teams, to flip field position. I'm going to rely on my defense, to get me the ball back, and then I'm going to go back to work again on the next possession. That's the way the game of football has to work. Jalen needs to learn that. He's got to learn it. He's got to trust his defense and his special teams and the play calling and make good decisions. Even sometimes, I tell people all the time, there are times, I can remember, on third downs, I would call the defense. I can remember plenty of times where Buddy would make a call and we would all look at each other in the huddle and be like, wow, did he really just call that? That is really not the greatest of situations for us to be in. But guess what? We got to go out and we got to execute what's called. Sometimes you can't check out of a bad call. Sometimes you got to make the best of it. And if we're all on the same page and we're all moving in the right direction, well, guess what? We're going to have the success that we need, even sometimes, when coaches put you in less than perfect situations. Let's jump over to the defensive side of the ball. I talked briefly about how well the defense played early, but the defense had its problems too. They gave up 163 yards rushing, a reverse for a touchdown. They averaged giving up 7.8 yards per rush. They are not going to be able to survive defensively playing that way. They've got to get the run game under control. For the last, I don't know how many years, it's been the Achilles heel for the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Even during the year where they got to the Super Bowl, I don't think people remember, they gave up 121 yards per game on average during the Super Bowl run. They were just so potent on the offensive side of the ball, and they were so good against the pass that it kind of made up for it at times. But that's not going to always be the case. They're going to have to get the great defenses, the historically great defenses. And I'm not saying that this defense is really at that point now. We got a lot of young pieces, a lot of new pieces that's really trying to figure out who they are in the National Football League. But at some point, the great defenses always play the run, they minimize the run. They're always in a situation where they get offenses where they can only average around 75 to 90 yards per game. If you really think about it, that's doing a heck of a job on the ground. Now, that's enough to put offenses in a situation where they feel like, hey, we're not really getting much on the ground, so we're going to have to put the ball in the air. Now, that's, in a nutshell, where you want to have offenses making themselves one-dimensional. Now you can pin your ears back. Your defensive lineman can go after the quarterback. Your defense coordinator can dial up some different pressures, some simulated pressures and things like that to figure out, how to get pressure on the quarterback. It's doable. It's doable. But this team has got to figure out how they can stop the run game without having to always get into a five-man front and making themselves weak. Again, it's going to be this cat and mouse game. It's going to be this chess match where teams, if they feel like that they can run the ball against us in our four-man front and they can force us to get into the five-man front, well, guess what they're going to do? When you're in the 4-man front, they're going to check the run. When you're in the 5-man front, they're going to max protect and check to the pass because they know that you either have to be in man on the backside or you're going to have to drop Zach Baum, who is an absolute beast. I mean, I hate to lose my thought for a minute, but I gotta give this guy some props. 15 tackles in his first game as an Eagle, 12 of them solo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss. He was everywhere. Dare I say, and yes, N'Kobe Dean had a pretty darn good day himself, but dare I say, we finally might have ourselves a linebacker core. And I think that's going to make a major difference, in what our defense looks like. Now, they play a role as well in being able to stop the run. They got to understand where they fit, how they fit. They got to read the offensive and defensive lines to understand where the ball is actually going. Okay? They got to study and be able to anticipate everything that's going to happen before it happens. I'm not saying guess, I'm saying anticipate. That comes through study. That comes through film study. That comes through game plan preparation. That comes from just looking at the analytics that are given to the players, that they have the ability to now look at the analytics of the team. When you get in a certain formation on a certain part of the field, a certain down and distance, now we can begin to anticipate what this team likes to do. And I know it's early in the season, so you've only got a small sample size. Some of these offenses they're going to face, like the Falcons coming up, you got a new quarterback, a new coaching staff, the whole deal. So we don't really know what they're going to be. But by the time we get to week 4, week 5, we've got a 4 or 5 game sample of games, of game film, where we can now break down and take the analytics that gives us probabilities and what teams really like to do in certain situations. And that's where, these linebackers can really make a difference in how they play. But let's go back to the defensive line for a second. I digress. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. We're in a situation, we drafted both of these guys in back-to-back seasons. Jordan Davis is in his 3rd year. Jalen Carter is in his 2nd year. 9 and 13 overall in the first year. With Fletcher Cox stepping away and retiring, we're now relying on these 2 guys to be the go-to on the defensive front. Now, Jalen Carter has from time to time some very, very dominant plays. But both he and Jordan Davis at times kind of disappear. One of the things that's really, really tough, and I've broken it down on here, and another thing, I'm going to have a short whiteboard session. So as you guys are in the chat, throw me some ideas about what it is that you want to see, what you would like for me to break down, whether it's something defensively or offensively. I'll be happy to draw it up. If you guys don't give me, anything that you want me to break down, then I'll keep it moving. But, I need some ideas tonight on what you would like to see. I just don't want to throw stuff out there because I think you guys might want to see it. I want to kind of educate you guys and give you some things that you might really, that might help you understand and enjoy the game better, but also that would be an education for everybody that's here. So I'd like to break down some things, that you guys would like to see. But I think where the Eagles defensive tackles have struggled for the last couple of years is when they're in the 4-man front and the tight end is attached, it creates a situation where you can double team both tackles. Now, this is where the linebackers have to be, they've got to be very aggressive. I watched a lot of football, as much as I could watch, between last Thursday and Sunday and Monday night. And I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the linebacker play, and there's very few teams, with the exception primarily of what you see from the San Francisco linebackers, maybe the Detroit Lions linebackers. Those guys play downhill. And in order to stop the run, you have to play downhill. Just to give you an example, anytime you got a double team on a defensive tackle, what they're trying to do is they're trying to take that 600 pounds and move that 300 pounds back 4 yards because the linebackers are aligned at 4 yards. The minute, if you're reading properly as a linebacker, and some of these guys, in my opinion, they get caught up looking in the backfield. The running back the quarterback are the greatest liars on the offensive side of the ball. You tell me why, okay? If I'm a quarterback and I'm under center and I want to run the ball to my right, which is the 2, 4, 6, 8 hole, even if I want to run it to the 1, 3, 5, 7 side to my left, why, if I'm going to run it to the 1, 3, 5, 7 hole, am I going to reverse out to the 2, 4, 6, 8 side to turn around and hand the ball to the running back over on the 1, 3, 5, 7 side? I'm doing that because if linebackers got bad eye discipline and they're looking at the quarterback or they're looking at the running back and the running back jabs, to the right and then comes back on a counter right to left rather, and they're not reading the offensive lineman, well, the linebackers see the quarterback reverse out. So the first thing they do is they take a step to the side that the quarterback reverses out to. What does that do? A false step creates angles. So now when these guys are blocking down, and you get the pullers that come to the left, now they got angles on the linebackers where if they're looking at the offensive line, the minute that the ball is snapped, I see the double downs on the front side of the play. That tells me right now, look backside. Now I see the pullers coming. That tells me to come now, don't wait. Even with the double teams, where they double team and they're trying to work up second level, one of these offensive linemen off the double team, the linebackers got to see that, because depending on where the flow of the running play is going, if the flow is going right, okay, and let's say you got the center and the guard double teaming the one tech or two technique here, okay, the guard is trying to get enough of the outside shoulder of the defensive tackle to push him down so the center can now work either head up or on the outside shoulder. Now, once he gets in that position, now he's going to work up next level to the linebacker. If the linebacker doesn't come down now and smack that guard in the mouth right now with his outside arm free, now that not only does he lose his gap, but the defensive tackle gets pushed out of his gap as well. And now the running back has 2 lanes to actually break through. So now this is the problem that I see with a lot of linebackers today. I don't know whether they're being taught to read the stuff in the backfield or whether they just had bad eye discipline because in practice they don't work on it enough. They've got to figure out, that if the play is going to start to my right, their left, okay, and you're getting full flow, these guys have got to come down and get in their gaps right now. They got to do it now. The longer you wait, the more problems you're going to have stopping the run. The more problems you have stopping the run, teams are going to do it even more. Now they start giving you all these complicated and intricate blocking schemes. And while you're looking in the backfield, the next thing you know, these offensive linemen up on you at 4 yards depth of where you're standing. I was watching it last night, in the Monday night game. I'm telling you, the Jets linebackers, they could not stop that run because I'm looking at them line up at 4 yards. The ball is snapped. The offensive linemen are doubling or getting up to the second level, and they're taking on blocks at 4 yards. That means that they've moved the line of scrimmage 4 yards before the linebackers have even reacted. And you cannot play run defense that way. You've got to step up, and you've got to come get it right now, okay? You got to be sure your reads. And sometimes when guys are slow on their reads, that tells me that they're not certain. They're not certain, and they're not trusting what their eyes are telling them. But they're also have bad eye discipline, and they're looking totally in the wrong places. And they've got to figure out how to get that fixed. The last piece before I bring Elliot on, I'm concerned with the Eagles pass rush. I'm really, really concerned. I said it in my podcast last week. I would be watching this because you let a guy in Hassan Reddick with 27 sacks over the last 2 years walk away instead of bringing him up, to a level of pay that's commensurate with him being the best defensive player on this football team the last 2 years. Josh Sweat almost got home a couple of times. I'm not really interested in almost. I know that the NFL and a lot of people like to keep count of, pressures and hurries and all that kind of stuff. I'm just not one of them. You either get home or you don't. Now, if you can force the quarterback out of the pocket, that's fine. If you can make him get off his first read and go to the second read, that's great. But I'm telling you right now, these almost and hurries They don't do it for me. They do it for other people. Guys are actually getting paid on hurries now. But my thing is, you got to figure out how to get home. Josh Sweat almost got home a couple of times. Jalen Carter almost got home a couple of times. If Jordan Davis is not going to be a pass rusher, then you have to insert Milton Williams in the game a little more and ask him to be much more productive. In the third down situations, I would really like to see, and I think he can be great at it because I've seen him do it. Create your NASCAR package and bump Brandon Graham down the tackle. Put him in a 3 technique and let him go to work one-on-one on these guards. He can do it. But I'm just flabbergasted that Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff was an absolute no-show last week. No-show. They didn't show up in the stats at all. I believe the only one that had any kind of stats, I think that Nolan Smith had a hurry, and Bryce Huff had 1 tackle. And to be honest with you, if you go and you look at the numbers, Brandon Graham played more snaps in his 16th year than both of those guys. I think Brandon had like 32 snaps. Between the two of them, I think they had 30 and 31 snaps. You paying a guy $53 million over 3 years to play 30 snaps, 31 snaps a game. And this was my concern because he's a player that only played 40 snaps, for the 40% of the snaps, I should say, for the New York Jets last year. Although he had 11 sacks, but he only played 40% of the plays. And that's problematic because Hassan Reddick gave you 70 to 75% of the snaps last year. And granted, he only gave you 11, 12 sacks, whatever it was. But at the end of the day, by the time we got to the end of the season, they had him dropping all over the place. At the beginning of the season, the first 4 or 5 games, he had the hand issue with the cast. And even at that, he still gave you great production. So the pass rush is going to be a major, major thing to watch, especially with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins next week can hurt you if you give him time. Last week, the whole Kirk Cousins showed up because they got pressure on him all day long. All right, so let's bring Elliot in. Let me get Elliot's take as to what he saw last week. Elliot, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's been too long. I miss our days of talking on Comcast. So I was happy to get the invite and happy to talk football with you.
Awesome. So I guess the biggest question, Elliot, and I'm going to put a little bit of the blame on you because all training camp long, you were tracking Jalen Hurts. Oh, he hasn't thrown an interception in 200 passes. He had 300 passes.
Yep.
He had 1 interception the entire training camp. And then he comes out the first week of the season, puts the ball up for grabs. I'm not really blaming you for that, but
well, enough people have, so it's okay. Yeah.
It just felt like a good way to get started. Give me your thoughts and your insights on what you saw from Jalen and what you saw from this Kellen Moore offense more than anything.
I was shocked by what I saw from Jalen on Friday night against the Packers. Now, I know it's the first game. I know it's a long trip. I know he didn't play in the preseason. But the Jalen I saw on Friday night in Brazil was not the Jalen I don't think anybody saw in training camp. In training camp, he was smart with the ball. He took what the defense gave him. He was checking it down. Not only did he only throw 1 interception in like 330 attempts, you can ask anybody that was there. He probably only put it in harm's way maybe 3 or 4 times. On Friday night alone, he put the ball in harm's way maybe 5, 6, 7 times if you include those fumbles. So my concern from Friday night with Jalen was he looked exactly like the guy at the end of last year. I thought he abandoned a lot of clean pockets, which was something he did a poor job of last year. I thought he definitely put the ball in harm's way. Even if you take away those 2 interceptions, the 2 worst throws he might have made probably weren't even picked off. The interception that could have been a pick 6 and the interception on the final drive. So I think Monday night coming up is a really big test for Jalen because if he does it for 1 game, all right, then you can write it off. First game, tough opponent in Brazil. If he comes out Monday night and he once again is putting the ball in harm's way, then that's a long track record going back to last year of him being reckless with the ball.
This is just a thought. I've been throwing it out on social media and the whole deal. I know that he's a franchise quarterback, and the idea is that he's got to make better decisions.
Yeah.
But until he realizes that, he's still got a great offensive line, he's still got great weapons, he doesn't have to do it all. All you got to do is put the ball in the right hands and allow these guys to do what they do, because he's got, an arsenal that's second to none. But don't you think sometimes that the coaches can take the hero factor out of it? Like the first interception, it's 3rd and 15. You're not going to complete that. Don't even throw that ball.
Yep.
So why put him in a situation to even throw the ball? Why not just run it on 3rd down or run a screen like most teams do in 3rd and long situations? Punt the ball, let your defense do what it does.
Yeah, I mean, look, part of that could be where they were at on the field. If I'm not mistaken, he threw the ball from his own end zone, so maybe they didn't want to risk a safety there. They just wanted him to drop back and get rid of it. I think where Jalen gets in trouble, in my experience covering him and watching him, is if that first read isn't there, I'm not sure he makes great decisions on the fly. You can see on that interception on the first play, on the first drive, he looks to AJ. That's where he wants to go with the ball. AJ's covered, so he immediately goes to the middle of the field, and he just kind of throws it up. He doesn't take even a half a second, really, and look at what's there. He had already made the decision that's where he wants to go. So I think, to your point, like, can the coaches put him in better situations? Maybe. But he's had a bunch of coordinators now. Brian Johnson last year, I know people are mixed on how he did, or more so people don't like the job he did. But he looked like the same guy with Kellen Moore on Friday night. And Kellen Moore is one of the most accomplished, experienced coordinators in the league. So I get your point that if it's 3rd and 15, just, do a quarterback draw maybe or whatever, just to get the ball out of harm's way, give your punter a few more yards to punt the ball. But it's a $250 million quarterback in his 4th season. You have to think that he's not going to make that same mistake. And real quick, it reminds me of last year against the Jets, where it was 3rd and I think 8, and they threw the ball, trusting him to make the right play, and he didn't. So maybe eventually they'll have to take it out of his hands, but that's a big step to take from a guy that you signed the franchise over to.
I was impressed with not only Jalen's resiliency, because Elliot, I'm not one of those people that will strictly look at the negative, because he did have a lot of positive in that game.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that play, that blitz pickup ball that he threw to AJ Brown on the sideline as he was getting crushed, he stood in the pocket, so he's shown that he can do those things. His numbers for the week, I think he was tied for first in completions in blitzing situations. The pass to Saquon, he couldn't have walked down there and handed him a better ball.
I agree. Yep.
Some of the reads that he made with Devontae crossing the formation, he made some really good plays and made some really good decisions. So I'm not one to throw out the bathwater with the baby. I'm at the other end of the spectrum. While I'm not going to absolve him, and I will not, ignore the fact that he played some bad football, I won't absolve him, and I will not, put myself in a situation where I harp solely on the negative. I will acknowledge the good things that he did, and let's look at that and hope that he can turn it around and move in that direction, opposed to continuing to, on the path that he was on last year.
Yeah, and look, as bad as some of his throws were, the plays he made to kill 7 minutes off the clock to end the game won the game for them. He had a running play that got a first down that was huge. He had a few really nice throws to Devontae that were good timing, accurate throws. He extended a play that resulted in a flag that gave them a fresh set of downs. So he did make his fair share of plays. My only concern is, how long has it been since we've left the game and felt great about how Jalen played? In the Buffalo game last year, he played really, really good. That was probably the last time. But it feels like far too often, and I'm curious if you agree with this, we're talking about Jalen in a way where it's, oh, actually, he did play well if you think about it. Or actually, it is a really good win if you look at it this way. I think for as much talent as this team has, it would be nice if there was a win where, me and you come on, whether it's, with your Parks Casino postgame show or me on WIP, and we're just like, that was how it's supposed to look. That was an outstanding performance. It's just been a long time since it wasn't mostly negative, and we have to highlight the positive.
Listen, I agree with you 100%. He's always going to be the focal point. He's the highest paid player on the team. He's the most important player on the team as of right now. But, we're all that conversation is always going to happen, and we're in Philadelphia. So guess what? It's that negativity is going to outweigh the positivity, by a wide margin. I want to shift gears, and I want to touch on a guy who made his Philadelphia Eagles debut that, to me, is going to be the game breaker and the key piece, in my opinion, is going to propel this offense to be virtually unstoppable. and that's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
If this kid can stay healthy, and they utilize him the correct way, I know that everybody believes that, this still is a passing league. I'm always going to beg to differ, just because I would say go and look at the Detroit Lions and how they won their first game. They won it on the ground. Go look at the San Francisco 49ers. How did they win their first game? They dominated the line of scrimmage, which then opened up everything else, for their offense. Even though they made a lot of hay in the first half and Saquon did the majority of his damage in the second half, he is a phenomenal piece.
Yeah.
I mean, he can do so many things, and he's going to require defenses to account for him in so many ways that I think that you can then begin to look at these other guys and what they can mean. I think Dallas Goedert is a superstar waiting to be unveiled, waiting for the clouds to move past him so everyone can see his star shine bright in the sky.
100%. Yep.
And I just, Elliot, for the life of me, I don't understand why they don't use him. Why don't they use him more? And so talk about Saquon, because I don't want to brush over that, because this is one of the moves that Howie Roseman has made that I don't think people can begin to understand how big this is going to be. But at the other end of the spectrum, I want to talk about Dallas Goedert, because I just think that, he's a superstar in waiting.
Yeah, so with Saquon, I think there's a chance if he stays healthy, you're looking at the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. I think he can put up those type of numbers. I mean, he's got 3 touchdowns already. I think he could get to 20. There will be games where he has 2 or 3 touchdowns. And let's be honest, he could have probably had 4 if, things break his way a little different. I think they want to give him the ball a ton. They have paid this guy to be an outstanding player for the next 2-3 years. I don't think they're looking 4 or 5 years from now. They want him to touch the ball a ton. He helps in pass protection, which keeps him out on the field in passing downs. And you saw the catch he made for that touchdown. When's the last time they had a running back that could make that catch? Probably Brian Westbrook. I mean, it has been a long time. So the addition of Saquon absolutely is going to change this offense. But I also think if you look at how the offense is built, clearly A.J. Brown, A.J.'s probably the best player on the team. Saquon gives him a run for his money, but A.J. is an unbelievable talent. The issue A.J. runs into is I think currently the Eagles are a better running team. I think they have a better run blocking team than they do a pass blocking team. They're bigger. Mekhi Becton is better at that. Cam Jurgens, I think, is better when you get him into second level and he can win those matchups against linebackers because he gets there quickly. So Saquon is tailor-made to put up big numbers in this offense because they're better at running the ball. They want to give him the ball a ton. And he's just a special talent. I mean, you could see in New York, he had nothing around him. So he was a special guy, but it didn't matter. Now, as to Dallas Goedert, I agree with you. I think Goedert is one of the most underutilized players in the NFL. The only issue is I don't know how you fix it. Like you have AJ, Devontae, Saquon, and obviously Goddard's next. But yeah, I think Goedert, you're probably looking at the last year of him on the team because he is due for a new contract at the end of the year with only 1 year left. And if I'm him, I'm eyeing up Kansas City because we all know Travis isn't playing that much longer.
Yeah.
And we know he'd be awesome where he can be number one guy. So yeah, I agree. Dallas is awesome. It's just there's not enough touches to go around.
Hey, listen, I know a way that there can be enough touches to go around. I just don't know if the Eagles believe that that's the way that you actually win, because I really believe that when you have balance, and they balanced up, and it wasn't because of the normal reasons why everybody sees offenses balance up, run the pass. Normally, it's like, oh, we're going to throw in the beginning of the game, get a lead, and then we'll run it at the end, and that's what balances us up. Mm-hmm. The Eagles ran the ball 38 times. Now I know a large sum of those was Jalen. I think he had like 14 carries, and we're trying not. We really don't want to see that, but still, all in all, that's 38 carries against 34 passes. When was the last time we seen a stat line look like that? Probably the last time we've seen a stat line look like that, the head coach got reprimanded on Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
you understand
true.
what
In
I'm
that
saying?
Packers game, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, but if the objective is to win and give your quarterback the best chance to win and to be successful, then you figure out a way to come out where you run the ball in balance. And I think when you run the ball in balance, then play action pass becomes a vital weapon. And I think that's where Dallas Goedert becomes more of a weapon for Jalen to use, because when you got play action pass and those linebackers step up, the middle of the field is wide open. Mm-hmm. Now he can operate there, and I'm looking for, because Kellen Moore was a guy that really utilized his tight ends during his time in Dallas. I'm waiting for that to take center stage because Dallas is just way too good. He's way too good. And I said exactly what you said. I mean, he got 2 years left on his deal. When his deal is up, he's going to be a piece. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
you
if
know,
not next
I
year.
can go.
Yeah, if
I mean,
not next year.
I can go somewhere. I can go somewhere and be a superstar rather
Yeah,
than being
100%.
here. I'm blocking 9 times out of 10, and you throw me, 3 or 4 targets a game. I'm looking at guys like Kittles and Kelsey and all these other guys getting, 10 to 12 targets a game. What about me?
Well, the other part of this too is you talk about Kellen and how he uses the tight ends in the offense. Dallas is probably better after the catch than any tight end Kellen's had. I mean, he is so good after the catch. So you talk about the middle of the field being open. If you can get the ball to Dallas in space, he runs over people and he has such long strides for a tight end his size. So I agree. You have to get him involved. But I also think it's where we go to Jalen. Like, I think so. You're calling plays for AJ. You're calling plays for Devontae. Dallas isn't getting called plays as much, number one. But number two, if Jalen's not going to be good getting off his first read and looking through, that's going to hurt Dallas because Dallas is not the first option in many plays that they run. So I 100% agree with you. You got to get Dallas more involved. But he's been here, 4 or 5 years now? And it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen for him, unfortunately.
That's a shame, man. I rue the day that guy walks out of the door because now you got to go and draft a tight end and start all over with a tight end, and you got a guy here. All you got to do, I mean, he seems like the type of guy that's never going to bitch and complain about anything, but if you can keep him healthy by giving him enough targets that allows him to get his numbers, so that he kind of gets some of that notoriety. And then the other thing too is, I wonder, when you're calling plays, do you call plays for a specific player, realizing and understanding that defenses have the ability to take that player away in certain situations, and maybe that stymies, Jalen, or
Maybe.
you calling the play, and you're going through a progression, and the guy that's open gets the football.
So to me, it seems like the Eagles' game plan where they build plays for AJ, Devontae, Saquon, and then Dallas. Now, to your point, when they're calling the plays, I think they are calling that based off what the defense is showing them, what they've seen throughout the game. And it's Jalen's job pre-snap to diagnose what he sees and ideally decide before the snap where he's going with the ball. So you're right that, maybe the way they're doing this is not good for Dallas to get the ball. My thing with Dallas is, not to harp on the Dallas thing, but while I think he's happy here, and you're right, he's not someone that's going to complain, all players want to put up numbers. I know he wants to win. All players want to win, but Dallas doesn't put in all this work to get, 60 targets a year. Dallas has the potential to be the best tight end in the NFL. So I will not blame him if eventually he moves on, because at the end of the day, he has to put his career first. And right now his career is not being fully utilized here.
Elliot, I want to be a man of my word and let you out of here at 8:15. So
I got a few more minutes. We can talk Brace.
Okay.
I know we want to talk Brace, so go ahead.
Okay. So I need to switch over on the other side of the ball. And I think the Eagles now have 2 players, one that no one's seen coming, one that had high expectations. Zach Baum was an absolute beast on Friday night, just an absolute beast. It's been a long time since we've seen a linebacker with that kind of versatility put up those kind of numbers in a game. And it wasn't just tackles. The kid had 2 sacks and nobody else had a sack all night. The versatility that he brings, you can get to your 5-man front when you move him out at rush backer, then that allows you you can drop him as well. So there's a whole lot of things that they can do. He played on the line, he played off the line, he dropped in coverage, he covered man to man, he did everything. The other guy is Quinyon Mitchell. Good Lord. Had the Eagles hit a home run with him. Kid didn't back down all day long. And I'm telling you right now, Green Bay's got some good wide receivers, man. He didn't back down. He challenged guys at the line of scrimmage. He tackled well, had 2 pass breakups, 5 tackles on the game. I'm just highlighting those guys, but I'm going to give the last 5 minutes to you to kind of talk about the defense, what Vic is doing, what you expect out of it. And then, as you go through some of those things, then I want you to jump over on and give people your opinion on what's going on with the defensive tackles and what's going to happen on the edges if we can't start getting some pressure from these guys on the outside.
Well, first on Quinyon, I mean, I don't think we've seen such an impressive rookie debut since Carson in 2016. And that's a completely different kind of impressive debut because that's a quarterback where he's controlling the ball. It's hard to stand out as a cornerback in your first game in the NFL the way Quinyon did. And to me, what stands out about Quinyon so much is because he did get beat in that game. He didn't have a perfect game. But that one-on-one rep he had on the outside against Christian Watson, where not only does he force the incompletion, but then he's directly in his face. When Quinion first got to the NovaCare and we first got to talk to him, he seemed quiet, which is understandable. He's a rookie. He's doing media for the first time. But you know from playing in the league, like you have to have a certain mentality as a number one corner. And man, does Quinion have that. I've been so blown away by being around him, watching how he practices, how he gets in players' faces, and just the swagger he has absolutely stands out. So I think this is looking like already a home run pick. Obviously, he has to prove it over a long time, but it's been a long time since after one game I felt this good about a rookie. Now, on the flip side of that, if you want to talk about the defensive tackles, there couldn't maybe be a bigger juxtaposition between a guy in Quinion who has absolutely shown it and a guy in Jordan Davis where we keep waiting to see it. I mean, Jordan Davis, you're now in what, the third year. They desperately need him to be an impact player. And Howie said it when they drafted him. He can't just be a run-stopping defensive tackle. He can't be. That's not going to be worth of a top 15 pick. And so he is still yet to show he can impact the quarterback. And he has all the chance in the world to do it. You're playing next to Jalen Carter, who is already one of the best pass rushing defensive tackles. Defenses are not keying in on you. You're 50 pounds bigger than everybody out there. You're ultra athletic, and he hasn't shown the ability to do it. So you don't want to write someone like him off. He's a hard worker. He does have a great personality. You can tell he wants it, but he couldn't do it at Georgia. He hasn't done it the first 2 years. He didn't do it Friday night. It's just hard to believe that that's going to happen. So when you look at the pass rush in general, they have Jalen Carter, who you feel great about. They have Bryce Huff, who, for whatever me or you think of him, it's pretty clear Vic Fangio doesn't believe in him. He's not been ultra complimentary of him. He played him less than Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith in the opening game. I mean, think about that. Less than Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith. And they can say that's how the game presented itself. That's ridiculous. They have the players out there. They want to be out there. And if they don't, then that's poor coaching. If they truly feel Bryce is the best edge rusher they have and he's not out there, that's poor coaching by them. So it's tough to look at this line and know where to believe because Josh Sweat is coming off a down year. Nolan Smith played 32 snaps and didn't do anything. Like, it's really just Jalen Carter. And I think that the scary thing to think about is it might be that way because the resources they've invested in that line are not paying off.
So I got to go back to Jordan Davis, man, because, if what you're saying is true, and I felt this way when they first drafted him.
Same.
Everybody was excited.
Same.
But I said he's a one-dimensional player, and you cannot. They drafted him at 9, right? Was it 9?
I think it was 12. I think it was 12. But
okay.
Yeah, it was high up.
But you cannot draft a guy that's one-dimensional that high.
Yeah,
he's got to be a two-way player.
Yep.
And to your point, if he did not prove it at Georgia, then what makes you think at the highest level that he's going to be able to prove it here? He seems to always be out of shape to me. He seems to, I said when they drafted him, he's 240 pounds. No, he's not. He's like 250, 350. He's like 350, 360.
He's definitely not 240. I can tell you that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Anytime, every player, and it's a lot less now because, these players, all the training regiments and whatnot that's available to these players now. But I had it when I came into the league. I came in at 255. After my rookie year, they made me get down to about 240 to 242. Okay. You get your pro body. Jordan Davis is the same way. 340, 350 is way too much weight for any human being to carry. And you think that you're going to lay 600 pounds on him 45% of the time, and he's going to get a pass rush. He's got to get down, Elliot, to 325 to 330 in order to be the player that they want him to be. And I don't know. I don't see the dog in him. Like when I look at Jalen Carter play, he's got fight, he's got dog. Now he's got athleticism that Jordan Davis wishes he had, but at the other end of the spectrum, if you got enough fight in you, enough dog in you, at some point in time as a man, you just get to the point where it's like, I'm not getting my ass kicked anymore. I'm going to start kicking some ass.
Yeah. And so I agree with that, but I think sometimes, and you're correct, he has to get in better shape. But I think sometimes we lean a little too much on that. And I'm happy you brought up something else because I think there's this perception that if he's in great shape, all of a sudden he'll be able to rush the passer. I just don't think he can do it. I don't think he has the technique to do it. In Georgia, they didn't even play him on third down. And in Georgia, he was way more athletic than everybody out there. He was bigger than everybody else out there, and he couldn't do it there. So I just think you're going to have to lean on Milton Williams. Moro Ajamo had a really nice snap in that game where he got to Jordan Love. Like, that's more than Jordan Davis has really shown in a few years. So their pass rush is a concern. Now, I will say, from being in Brazil, the field was a bad field. And I'm not to blame the field from the Super Bowl guy. I think that's like loser mentality. But the field was bad in Brazil. So I'll be curious, much like Jalen, Monday night, the Falcons' offensive line is good. They have good players in Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom, but they also have 3 not good players on the rest of that line. And Kirk Cousins, I watched that game against the Steelers. He's more of a statue than he's ever been. So if you can't pressure Kirk Cousins, then if you're Howie, you have to go out and try to trade for somebody because the offense is built to win. The back 7 for the first time in a long time looks really good. The front 4, if they play how they did on Friday night, they're in real trouble.
So tell me about, because you probably know more about it than I do. I'm trying to remember the kid's name. They picked him up. He was a former first-round draft pick, defensive tackle. They claimed him off waivers.
Byron Young. I believe he was Byron Young. I feel like he might have maybe been a 3rd-round pick. But yeah, he was a high draft pick regardless.
So is there any potential there? I mean, sometimes
so he's more of a run-stopping. From what I know of him, he's more of a run-stopping defensive tackle.
Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a Jordan Davis. Yeah, exactly. But also the guy was cut after 1 year. It's hard for me to really pin my hopes. I mean, ultimately, the Bryce Huff has to do it. Like, Jalen Carter has to do it. The guys you've invested this big money into, they have to do it. Like, unfortunately, they're at a position of the season where this is what it comes down to. It is hard to trade for good pass rushers because teams don't trade them. And with the new wild card rules and everything, teams aren't really out of it by the time the trade deadline comes. So they're kind of who they're with right now, and they just have to hope and pray it improves.
All right. So give me an overall look. Game 2, Monday Night Football at the Link. The Link's going to be rocking. The city's going to be buzzing.
It's going to be crazy.
How do you see this game playing out offensively and defensively?
So I need them to win this game by 10 or more points. I'm sick of the whole, they played well, but they turned it over 4 times. But, they scored 30 points. But how impressive was that even with the turnovers? Or, the defense was good in stretches. The Falcons are not a good team. They have good players. They have Jesse Bates. They have Bijan Robinson. They have Drake London, Kyle Pitts. But that's kind of it. They traded for Matthew Judon. They're just not a deep team outside of that. So I look at this Eagles team and go play your A game. Go play your A- game. Stop playing your C game. Stop winning games just because you have so much talent. Go out and execute cleanly, make smart decisions, and go take Kirk Cousins out of his spot. Go move him off the pocket, create some turnovers. I think they should win this game comfortably. I'm going to pick them to win. I don't know if I'll pick comfortably because I don't know if I trust them yet, but this is a game where ideally when we're doing our post-game hits on our respective spots, we're saying, okay, this is what we've been waiting to say.
All right, give me a score. I got it. No,
it's all good. I'm going to go 34-23. So I'll give them a little bit there, but I think they're going to put up a lot of points. The Falcons defense isn't that good. And I think their offense, because of Kirk Cousins in a not great line, they better get pressure. So I'll go 34-23.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eliot Shorr-Parks, I appreciate your time, man. You guys follow him everywhere he's at. He's on it, stirring the pot, getting things going. Hey, man, I appreciate your time tonight.
Appreciate it. It's always good to talk to you. Talk to you soon, man.
Thank you. See you. All right, guys, we're going to close the show out with questions tonight because we got about 6.5 minutes left. And let's take some questions and, I'll answer some of you guys' questions rather than going to the whiteboard. So think about it. What would you guys like me to, do on the whiteboard? And I see one Sportsman Philly wants me to whiteboard on Zach Baum, but you got to tell me what you want. Okay, I'll give you something right quick. Okay. Let me see if I can get my board going. All right. Let me give my producer time. I'll go he's got to put me on screen share, and I got to, we're going to go a couple of minutes over. Okay. So this is the versatility that you get with Zach Baum. So last year we would get in our 4-man front. Okay. And, pretty much we play our linebackers off the ball. Okay. Anytime we wanted to get to a 5-man front, okay, we'd go Jordan Davis here, Jalen Carter here, Fletcher Cox. This right here will probably be Jordan Davis, and you got Milton Williams over here, okay? And you had Josh Sweat on this side, and you had Hassan Reddick on this side. So now you can see now the deficit that it puts you in, because now you got one less guy on the back end. Okay. You got 6 guys on the back end instead of 7. So now what the Eagles can do, let's do it this way. What the Eagles can do is they can go with their, let's go on the other side. They can go with their 4-man look. Okay. Tackle, end. Okay. And then they go their 2 linebackers off the ball. Okay. And this is what impressed me about Zach Bond. They shifted their line in a way that allowed them to do some really, really special things. So they took Zach Bond and they lined him up outside and put Nakobe Dean here quite a few times. Now, what does this do? Okay. And I'm probably wrong with this tackle right here. Let's scratch him off and move him over to the strong side. Okay. So on any running plays, you got every gap, every single gap taken care of. Okay. Every gap. He's going to be here. So, and this linebacker, Nakobe Dean, he's got a 2-gap read for the most part. Okay. He's either an A-gap player or a C-gap player on any running play. That's his only responsibility, because every gap should be covered if we dominate across the board. But the great thing that happens is that you got Zach Bond with 2 sacks. Now, granted, they didn't all come off the edge, but in New Orleans, he was a pass rush specialist and a role player. So now you got your 4-man rush, okay? Your 5-man rush if you want to. If you want to send the linebacker, you can send the linebacker. You got a 6-man pressure, man-to-man behind it, okay? One of the things that really plagued the Eagles last year is that their edge rushers and Hassan Reddick, who never really wanted to drop, Josh Sweat, you couldn't drop him, Brandon Graham, you probably drop him a couple of times a game, but you really don't really want to drop him, okay? Now you got a situation where, you can drop him into the flat. So you can play all your zone coverages. Now this end has got to get out here and contain, but you can still play all your zone coverages, from a basic 4-2 look, and you shifted yourself to a 5-man front, okay? So you got all your coverages at your disposal. So this guy right here is a versatility linchpin. This Zach Bond, I mean, there's nothing that this guy can't do. Let's go back and put him back on the ball, okay? And some of the other things that the Eagles had been doing, okay? They put him off the ball, and they walk him up in the line. Tackle goes here, he shoots the gap. Now you got another tackle right here. This center has to honor the fact that he's got a guy in his A gap. Okay. So that means that the back has to step up and take on the linebacker. At the end of the day, I like this matchup right here. I like that matchup a lot. Okay. There are times where they send both of them. You get Nakobe Dean hitting here, Josh Sweat here. Now you still get back to your 6-man pressures or your 6-man rushes if you so choose to do that. Okay. There's so many different things that the Eagles are going to be able to do because of, Zach Bond. And let's just take it another level, okay? Put him out here, okay? Now, you get your offense to set their protection. Quarterback goes into his cadence, okay? And then all of a sudden, you take Zach Bond and you move him back off the ball. You kick that in out just a little bit, okay? Now, the quarterback is believing, hey, he's going to drop into coverage. No, he's not. Here, bring him. There. There's so many different things and so many different ways that you can use an extremely versatile player like Zach Bond. And I know that Vic Fangio is the type of coach who has a ton of tricks in his bag. You're going to see some of this stuff also where you get Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean up in the line of scrimmage. okay? And then they drop out, simulated pressures. Or they're going to look like they're coming from one side, boom, you get the slot guy coming off the slot on the other side. There's so many different things. This guy is such a versatile piece that when it's all said and done, when Vic Fangio gets into his bag and realizes all the things that he can do with Zach Bond, I shudder to think, what this is going to look like. And it's such a welcome thing, because how long have we been waiting and looking and searching for real linebacker play in the Philadelphia Eagles, defense? Not converted safeties, not special teams guys that's been in the league for 5 years and we're going to try to make him a starter, okay? This guy has shown through one game, it's only one game, but if he can keep this up, he's shown that he can be a major difference maker for this defense. Kobe Dean played a good game. Not great in the run game so much, but he played a good game. I give him a B+, okay? I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Devin White, whether the chatter is real or whether it wasn't real. Did Kobe Dean really beat him out? Or do the Eagles really just want Kobe Dean to play? Because the guy ran all training camp with the ones. In week 1, he's got an ankle injury, and the next thing you know, Kobe Dean beat him out. There's something else that's going on there. And then Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who played really, really good throughout the preseason. I get the sense that at some point in time, the Eagles are going to have to realize that he's a weapon. Because of all the linebackers that the Eagles have on their team, he is the purest looking linebacker. He's a linebacker by trade. When he walks, he looks like a linebacker. When he runs, he looks like a linebacker. He looks like a bona fide linebacker to me. And I think at some point in time, he's going to be able to step up and secure himself some major playing time on this defense. I know Vic Fangio just wants to settle in with 2 guys because, he wants to be able to trust them. But this is what competition brings about. Let's see the cream rise to the top. All right. Hey, listen, I'm going to wrap right there. It's always great to be with you guys. Again, make sure you go to the Seth Joyner Show YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, and please turn on those notifications. Tell everybody to turn on the notifications so you get the notifications that we're doing the show right here every Tuesday, 7:30 to 8:30. Looking for the Birds to come out of week 2, 2-0. They certainly have the better team. There's no doubt about it. But they got to go out and take this game. They got to go out and prove this game, prove that they're the better team. They got to go out and improve in all facets of the game. Jalen's got to be better. The defense has got to be better against the run, so on and so forth. I look for that to happen, especially because you guys are going to be bringing the noise at the Link on Monday Night Football. Hey, listen, I'll see you guys right back here next week, same place, same time. Love each other, take care of each other, but most important, be good to one another. Peace.
When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the anticipation of another face card, the thrill of an extra spin, and the pure joy of a jackpot. It's all your favorite games at your fingertips. Plus, get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. BetParks.
At Pond Lee Hockey, we're neither a pond nor a hockey team. In fact, I don't even know how to skate.
Cut.
We're the injury law firm that you want fighting for you.
With our vast network of attorneys across the country, we know the playbook on injury law.
It's how Pond Lee Hockey recovered billions of dollars for more than 100,000 injured and disabled workers.
And we know we can do the same for you.
So give Pond Lee Hockey a call. No other law firm will fight harder for you.
And you'll never pay a dime until we win.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come, join our team.
Most people don't know how to get the care they need. The experts at Stay at Home Care can help. Before choosing a caregiver or family member for your care, you need to apply for the Home Care Program. The application process can be complicated. Stay at Home Care can help you navigate through every step. Once approved, your caregiver or family member will receive guaranteed weekly pay, a variety of medical benefits options, paid holidays, paid vacation, and overtime pay. Call Stay at Home Care, here to help every step of the way.
This is Seth Joyner, top analyst for the Birds. I've also analyzed the best auto dealerships, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Get to Davis Honda now and fall into savings. Lease a new 2024 Prologue EV for just $299 per month. See why Davis Honda continues to win outstanding awards for sales and service, including the highest award from Honda, the President's Award, 2 years in a row. Fall into savings right now at Davis Honda. Feel the Davis difference at Davis Honda in Burlington.
I'm Seth Joyner, and I drive a Davis Honda.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
The Excite Center at Parks Casino, the region's hottest live entertainment venue. Check out your favorite concerts, comedy, boxing, MMA, all at the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. Don't miss Funny Man JB Smoove on Saturday, September 14th, plus Straight No Chaser on Friday, October 18th. Don't miss these 2 exciting headliners, only at the Excite Center inside Parks Casino. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Tickets on sale now.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.